Hey, what's up? Welcome to our New York City apartment. For the past few months, my wife and I have been living here in a studio and we love it so far. However, we haven't had a TV for the past few months. We've been surviving on laptops and iPads, but we've always wanted to get a TV. And since Black Friday was just past, we decided to pull the plug on all the items we were researching. So, welcome to our New York City living room upgrade.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor.
The first item we bought for our setup was the Amazon TV unit. We got it in walnut, and at first we're pretty skeptical if we should actually get it because the reviews on the website were super mixed. However, once we received it and put it together, we were super surprised with the build quality. It actually comes with a metal bar that you can attach to the bottom of the TV unit to reinforce it and hopefully reduce any sagging over time. Item number 2 is the Govee RGB Classic 32.8 foot LED strips. We bought the 32.8 foot version because it was cheaper than the 16 foot at the time. So after adding 2 strips to the back of our TV unit, we cut off the excess and we have a lot left over. So I have to figure out another project to use it on. My main criteria when looking at LED strips was that it can connect to our Google Assistant. Unfortunately, these ones can. However, one thing I wish I looked at a little bit more was color accuracy. These ones aren't super color accurate and have a limited white range. I believe Govee sell a few higher tier models, so they may be a little bit better, but for the price, these ones were really good. You can still control everything through the Govee app, which is a little bit basic compared to some other apps I've used in the past, but it does the job and you can cycle through not only colors, but also a few lighting effects. Overall, for the price, I don't think you can go wrong with these ones. It connects pretty fast and it does also have a remote connected to the LED strips if you want to do the controlling manually. Item number 3, and this is the one that made it feel a little bit like home. This is the Sonos Beam Gen 2. Bea and I are very big Sonos fans. We originally had the Gen 1 in our Sydney apartment, and now moving to New York, having it here does make it feel like home. Originally, we were tossing up between getting the Beam or the Arc, which is the bigger brother, but we decided to go with the Beam to save not only on costs, but for our small studio apartment, we think it will suffice for now. But hopefully in the future, we can splurge and get the Arc. Nonetheless, we still love the Beam as it has Google Assistant built in, so we can control all our smart lights. It connects to the app super easily, and even getting it set up, you just need to plug in the power and a HDMI cable to your TV in an ARC port, and you're ready to go. Now moving on to the TV. This was a little bit of a pickle to decide which one we wanted, but our criteria for it was that we wanted a 75-inch TV, we wanted it to be 4K, and have a really good contrast ratio, especially because we're right next to a window. We want to make sure it's bright enough to be able to see in the day. We narrowed it down to 2 TVs we were looking at. One was a Samsung Q60B 75-inch TV, and the one that we purchased, which was an LG QNED 75-inch 80 series TV. The way we decided between the two was we went down to Best Buy and we took a look at both of them. Originally, we were going with the Samsung, but after looking at it in store, we found that the LG had a little bit better contrast ratio and we just liked it a little bit more. So we decided to go with the LG, and now that we did, we are super happy with it. After using it for a few days, we really like it. Playing Breath of the Wild, although it doesn't take full advantage of the 4K output and the 120 Hz refresh rate the TV has, we love that it feels like you're in the game. The contrast ratio is pretty good, especially during daytime. I tried watching a bit of James Bond, especially the darker scenes on the TV, and it handled it pretty well. It's not an OLED panel, but the nanocell technology seems to give you pretty good blacks and still detail in the shadows. The remote it comes with is an upgrade from our previous squishy remote and takes a little while to get used to. I personally really like it that it has a magic mouse built in and a scroll wheel. Bea is still on the fence. The viewing angle of this TV is pretty good. Our bed is actually just next to our living room, so I could sit in bed and watch something on the TV without feeling like I'm missing out on something. One thing I would say about this TV is that it is quite reflective, so as long as you're sitting somewhere where the window isn't casting too much of a glare, you'll be fine. For my peeps who care, the TV has 4 HDMI ports, which is great, and also pretty good cable management. The only knock on the cable management is that the system requires you to put the cables down one of the legs on the TV, and especially if you're running quite a lot of cables or inputs into the HDMIs, it does get filled up pretty quick. So for us, we were able to just squeeze everything in that leg, but for some, you might have to start putting some cables on the other side of the leg or get longer cables to figure that out. On the topic of cable management, the final 2 pieces that bring this setup all together is number 1, a power board, and I got this in white, so it's a little bit more subtle in the setup because our power outlet isn't actually in the nook we decided to put the TV in it, it's just to the side of it. This power board has 6 sockets, which I plug the Sonos, the TV, the LED strips, and our switch in, and we have 2 left over for any additional accessories. And it also has 4 USB slots, which we plug in the switch remotes to charge. With this power board, I'm pretty happy with it, especially with all the ports we have. I did opt for the longer version, which in hindsight, I should have got a shorter one, because now we have just a lot of excess cable. The final item that wraps this whole setup together is a cable sleeve. And I actually bought this off Amazon a while ago and brought it with us from Sydney, and it just works so well. I like that you can zip up all your cables, and if you need to access them again, you can just unzip it and then get to what you need, compared to using a Velcro strap or cable ties. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this gave you some insight into our setup and maybe helped you with yours. Let us know what your favorite living room accessory or thing is down in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks.
You know, I've been feeling like my eyesight lately has been starting to go. It's just because, you know, squinting at this tiny 16-inch MacBook screen, it's been really rough. And no sound system.
No sound system,
Like,
barely here.
You can't feel. You can't feel. But thankfully, our lives changed today. It's so bad. We didn't feel this way, actually.